Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez went viral again on Twitter. Somebody clipped this out of a talk she was giving. She mentions Biden and what she thinks of Biden to this point. Let's take a look.
One thing that I will say is that I do think that the Biden administration and President Biden has definitely exceeded expectations that progressives had. I'll be frank, I think a lot of us expected a much more conservative administration. And I think that his, not only what has ultimately come out, but the active invitation and willingness and collaboration with progressives in his first 100 days, or almost 100 days, has been very impressive. And so while there are there are areas where there are just plain areas of disagreement, I think that the actual conduct of the administration has absolutely been in good faith, but not just in good faith, but active incorporation of progressive legislation. And also for those of us individually, I can at least say that there has been a lot of openness and willingness and flexibility in incorporating many of our goals, requests, demands, etc. And I think that it has been to the benefit of the country.
The sad reality is that I saw a new poll that said 95% of Democrats are satisfied with Biden to this point. So she's definitely reflecting the majority of Democratic voter opinion right now. Okay, but I would love to ask her a very simple question, which is, what exactly are you referring to with how he surpassed your expectations? What exactly are you referring to? Now, you can make the argument the bar was so low that he cleared that super low bar by like a millimeter. Okay, that would be a fair argument, I guess. But I get the sense that's not what she's saying. She's saying he's doing a much better job than I expected. So what are the things you give him credit for? How is he doing a much better job? I thought about this a lot. I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to be kind here. I'm trying to think about what she could be referring to. Maybe she's referring to the fact that the COVID relief package was bigger than expected. I know Biden apparently behind the scenes loved the fact that his COVID relief package is much bigger than what Obama's relief bill was a decade ago when we had the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession. So he's patting himself on the back for being more bold than Obama. Maybe that's what she's referring to. Maybe she's referring to the fact that it has the child tax credit expansion in it, which is good, or some stimulus checks, which are good, or that Biden came out and gave a speech, didn't give a speech, but did a statement where he said, I support the PRO Act and Amazon needs to let voters decide in Bessemer, Alabama if they want a union. Maybe these are some of the things she's referring to. If the argument is he's better than Trump, okay, congratulations, that's the lowest bar of all time. But let's get serious here. In no way, shape, or form is he embracing any of the defining left-wing policy goals. He just isn't. He didn't fight for the $15 minimum wage. I mean, don't even get me started. Medicare for all is dead and gone. He said he would frickin' veto it if it came to his desk. But he said he was for the public option. He hasn't lifted a finger towards the public option. If anything, he's just pushed for COBRA subsidies, which is a giant giveaway to the health insurance companies, and expanding Obamacare subsidies, $200 billion, which is another giant giveaway to the health insurance companies. So he hasn't been good on healthcare. He's doing right-wing ideas on healthcare and giveaways to the health insurance companies. He hasn't pushed for the $15 minimum wage. He promised the $2,000 checks. He didn't do $2,000 checks. He did $1,400 checks. We could go through a list. On foreign policy, he's been abysmal. The easiest layup of all time was to just get right back in the Iran agreement. He didn't do it. He's continuing the policy of attempted regime change in Venezuela. I mean, the whole thing about, here's probably what she was referring to, the whole getting out of Afghanistan thing. Listen, if he actually does really get us out, I'll give Biden a tremendous amount of credit because that's the right policy. But it's really an open question now if he means get out as in, let's get the 2,500 troops out and leave the 18,000 contractors and special ops people and intelligence agencies there. If that's what he means by get out, he gets no credit because that's not a withdrawal. You still have 18,000 boots on the ground that are just not military boots. They're intelligence operators and special ops people and contractors. So I'm withholding my judgment on that. I know some people on the left are saying, no, he's not getting out. We know that's the case, period, the end. I don't necessarily agree with that because the CIA is under the impression that we're getting out, and that they're going to have to get out. So we have to wait and see what happens. But bottom line is, if he gets out, I'll give him credit. If he withdraws and still leaves thousands of boots on the ground, I'm not giving him credit. So we have to wait and see. So I wouldn't add that to the list now of like things he deserves credit for, how he's far exceeded our expectations, because he hasn't followed through yet. You need to wait until there's a follow through. So I don't know what she's referring to. And it drives me crazy. Because listen, guys, when we co-founded Justice Democrats, the whole point was to get a Tea Party of the left. AOC and all the Justice Democrats are supposed to actively be hostile to Biden, even if Biden was doing a good job. Your goal, your job is to say, here are the things you're not doing, and you better do it, and there are going to be consequences if you don't do it. And you use your leverage, and you lose your power, and you use your megaphone, and you fight relentlessly. Because you're supposed to care more about the policy issues than any individuals or party loyalty. And she doesn't. She just doesn't. She just doesn't. And the saddest part of it all is this. What does she say at the end there? She likes, quote, the active invitation and willingness and collaboration with progressives. You know what she's referring to? We covered the story. I forget. I think it was Washington Post or some other. Covered the story. Ron Klain, Biden's chief of staff, what he does is he always retweets left-wing groups and leaders of the professional left. And he takes phone calls from them, and he talks to them, and there's a collaboration, and they have meetings with them. And so these people are being placated. They're being placated. Even like the Sunrise Movement thinks like, oh, we got a partner in this administration. You're being placated. They're pretending to treat you seriously and give you pats on the head, and then they go do the opposite policies, and then you go out there and sing their praises because they were just willing to talk to you. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen. Just the fact that behind closed doors, they're treating them with respect and dignity, and let me hear your opinion, and I'll tell you my opinion, and there's an open line of communication. Just the fact that there's an open line of communication, they've given up on the fight because they feel like, oh, they're collaborating with us, and they're operating in good faith. No, they're not. They understand and realize that the bar is so low that all they have to do is talk to you and pretend like you're a serious person, and then you immediately start giving them massive credit. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen. They are placating you. They are placating you, and it's working. All the left-wing groups, all the Justice Democrats, and it makes me sad, man. It really does. That it's this easy to dupe lefties into supporting, at best, a centrist administration. Really, a moderate Republican administration. I don't know what she's referring to or how he's surpassing expectations. She didn't give the specifics. I don't know what she's referring to. But what I can tell you is every issue I care deeply about, he hasn't done dick, and he's not gonna. The only one is Afghanistan, and again, we have to wait and see if he actually gets out. And that's a coin flip. I don't know if he actually is. We'll see.